Hello. What's up, everybody? It's your girl Keisha Michelle here. As you can see, it's cold. I'm so confused, Texas, because it was beautiful yesterday, and like all of last week, and now it's cold. It feels like winter. I'm just like, what is happening? I'm about to go back to California. So here's the deal. Here's the friggin' deal. I was going to show you guys, I thought it would be really cool this week for us to study together. And I want to show you guys kind of how my dad showed me when I was a kid, how to study and how to look up things and we're particularly going to look at Bible, okay? But this is how you cross-reference and look at everything. And so today, I want to talk to you guys about, I was reading Proverbs 14, and Proverbs 14 was bomb, okay? It was super bomb. Now let's look at Proverbs 14 and 4. Type the number 4 in the comments if you are down to listen, learn, implement on today. Listen, everything that you stalk and watch on the internet, be sure that if somebody's sharing something with you, not just me, but in general, make sure that you take time to implement, to understand, and then to implement what you're learning into your life, because that way you get transformation. It's not just about consuming a lot of stuff. Consume. You never do. Learn, understand, implement, adjust. Measure how it's happening, how it's working. That's how you get transformation. So I love when you guys send me Facebook messages and you tell me that you consume the videos and that you had aha moments and you are going to do what I suggested. I don't take that lightly, and I'm rooting for you to have the same transformations that I'm experiencing. I'm not above you. Listen, we both growing together, okay? Good tea for life this morning. We always talk about good stuff for our soul. I see all the fours in the comments. What's going on? What's going on? Say good morning. Say good morning. It's Monday morning. I have a sales and marketing class happening in an hour, but I still felt compelled to share with you guys what I read this morning because that's what we do here, okay? So, Proverbs 14 and 4. I was on my phone and then I realized I need to have it put up on my computer. But anyway, Proverbs 14 and 4. Put a 4 in the comments if you are awake and alert and ready to go. I see you guys putting 4s. Now, the NIV version says, where there are no oxen, now that's a throwback word, where there are no oxen, the manger is empty. But from the strength of an ox come abundant harvests. So this scripture could often be overlooked because you could easily say the old me when I was younger and I would look at the Bible. Whenever someone told me to read the Bible, I said, what are you talking about? I don't understand that book. That's for old people, okay? And then when I started looking at the scripture, I'm like, OMG. And my dad taught me how to study. I saw my parents, my aunts, everybody was studying. It began to change my life because when you first look at this, where there are no oxen, the manger is empty. Okay, so what does that even mean? Off the top of your head, who's like, I don't know, I don't get it, I'm lost, whatever. Who's not even interested because you just can't even relate to an ox? If you're from the country, you've been around a couple cows or something, so you might be with it. But who literally heard me say that right now? And you're like, what? Don't read the Bible that way. Take some time, and I'm going to show you guys how to study, and I'm going to give you a homework assignment. And I want you on tomorrow to come back to me, and we're going to have another discussion. Okay? We're going to have another discussion about this same scripture. So, first thing first, where there are no oxen. Let's just break down the sentence. So, I'm interested. I want to understand the meaning. Good. Hey, Sarah. So, where there are no oxen, initially, if you're not from the country, see, I'm a country girl at heart, my family country. So I knew what an ox was. I understood we eat oxtail, like I understand the power of an ox. But if you don't get it, go look up oxen, okay? So if we just go look up, first always start with definitions of things. So the word that doesn't make sense to the normal person is oxen. Y'all know oxtail. So, an ox is an animal. Boom! First discovery. An ox is an animal. So now you go back to the scripture. That's why you really don't want to, I suggest, I'm not going to give you that rule because I don't want it to be set in stone. But in general, when you're reading, just take one scripture, right? Don't try to chew on, if the Bible is new to you, or really this goes for any type of studying, if it's new, make sure you understand what you're consuming, okay? So, where there are no oxen, so we just realized, we Googled it, Google it, type in Google it, if you now will Google whatever you don't know so that you don't have an excuse to be lost. Let me see, Google it in the comments right now. So, an oxen is an ox. Where there is no ox, the manger is empty. Manger, first of all, the word is spelled M-A-N-G-E-R. I ain't gonna lie, I was like, manger. Listen, so if you look at manger definition, a long open box or trough for horses, cattle to eat from. So this is where the manger, this is where the animals be at. Okay, cool, this is where the animals are. So let's go back to the scripture. When there's no ox, the manger is empty. Well, why does this have to do? And then the next part says, but from the strength of an ox come abundant harvest. Okay, well, context clues, this is one of my favorite things I ever learned as a kid. I remember the lesson, it's so strange, but I remember when we learned about context clues. And I was like, wow, you can literally skip parts and use context clues and figure it out. This is the kind of student I was. I used to always get taken out of class because I always was in the way, right? But I realized I could read this sentence, and now that we know that it's an ox and there's a manger and that's where you keep the animals, and then it says the strength of the ox gives you an abundant harvest. Okay, now again, if you're not familiar with these words, harvest, abundance, because harvesting is, that's like, again, I'm a country girl, so I get it. My daddy got a garden in his backyard, you know what I'm saying? So we have these conversations. So harvesting is the process of gathering a ripe crop from the fields. Oh, come on, somebody. Now, I don't know about you, but I get excited because I want to reap a good harvest. I want to go out to the field of fill in the blank. Ooh, come on, somebody, I just got excited. Let's chew on this for a minute. Let's chew on this for a minute. So if I'm going to gather crop, if I'm harvesting, if there's an abundance of something, right? There's a crop. You guys ever drive down the country? If y'all ain't been in the country, I'm sorry, I'm a country girl. Let's look at the picture. Let me show you the picture. Okay, so crop. Okay, we're harvesting. We're getting the corn from the field. We're getting whatever you planted. It's an abundance of that. Hey, Flip, what's up? What's up? That's my brother, y'all. So listen. It says you want an abundant harvest, you need the ox. So then I had to say, well, let me really look at what oxes, that ain't no word, it may be, I don't know. Let's look at what they did, okay? This is how we study. I'm teaching you guys how to take a scripture and break it down so you can apply it to your life. Because what we're learning is, this is one scripture, Proverbs 14, verse 4. If you're just joining, hey y'all. Where there are no ox, the manger's empty. So, okay, this ox is pretty significant. Because if he's not there, there's nothing in the manger. Like, there's nothing happening. What in the world does an ox do? Well, when I started to Google, I started to look at what oxes represented, especially in this time. And see, a lot of times we can look at the Bible and get distracted by the time periods. But you got to understand the significance of an ox. So listen, back in the day, this is way back in the day, the animals were, first of all, animals are still valuable, let's be clear. But back then, it's like that was the thing, like your horses, you needed them. Like all these animals, the sheep, the cows, these are like gold, this is money. These things produce for us, and we are able to have food for our families and provide something to the marketplace. It's still kind of that way, right? Still that way. But we're unattached because we live in high rises and we have all this electronics and we don't even touch a chicken versus my dad. And the only reason I even have an idea is because my dad used to milk cows and get eggs from the birds, okay? So listen, when you think about this time period for this scripture, that's the money, that's the bag, that's the coin, that's the success. That is the thing that helped you produce and have increase and have something to offer to your family, to the community. It's a big deal, people, okay? So, for example, when you are going to war, they get horses, they get people, and they need horses, right, back in the day. Well, a horse, you're not gonna eat the horse, right? That's used to help you travel, get to and from, that's their car, right? Well, if you look up what the oxes were doing, the oxes were this big, strong animal, right? And it says, hold on, let me look up here. The ox was used to plow and turn meal. So remember, it talked about the harvest. It talked about having an abundant crop. So the ox had everything to do with them doing their work efficiently. And doing that work efficiently, using that animal, right, allowed them to have abundant crops. So they could work smarter, not harder. If they were in that field without the ox, they wouldn't get half the stuff that they would get from their harvest. It would just be like a barren harvest. It would be like a half grown, maybe it works, maybe it don't, because your cousin do all his job, he out there tilling the soil. Like, the manpower required would double if they didn't have the ox, triple, quadruple, right? And so think about it. The ox did much of the heavy work that had to be done. So it often, and also it went into scriptures about if you stole a man's ox back in the day, you was taking his whole livelihood. So the ox is significant. And what I got from this is if there's no ox, then you can't increase. But the ox is gonna cost you something. The ox has a manger, and the manger has maintenance, and the manger requires you to manage things, right? Come on, somebody. So the ox is significant because it helps you produce an abundant harvest. And so you might be saying, Keisha, well, I'm on a farm, I don't understand. Y'all, put it into your life. First of all, if you want to be more spiritually sound, if you have, if the ox is the thing that's bringing you the significance, is putting in the work, right? Think about what that represents in your life, spiritually. Because remember, the ox serves the community, serves the family. The ox it's just valuable. And the scripture says, where there are no oxen, the manger is empty. So sometimes we can be spiritually empty because we're not using the tools. The ox was a tool because we're not using the tools. So sometimes maybe your business is feeling empty because you're not using the tool. What is the ox in your life that you need to tap into and understand that the ox will require some management? Because if an ox is in a manger, that's a stable. That ox got to sleep, pee, poop, all of that. You got to manage that thing in order to keep it right so that it can go do the job that it was designed to do so that you can get the harvest. Come on, somebody. So this scripture, if you really just chew on Proverbs 14 and verse 4 and really start to say, Lord, what are the tools in my life that I need in order for me to have abundant harvests? So, and we're not just spiritual. You live in the world, okay? So you want to have an abundant life 360. So the question today, guys, and that's how we study. That's how we take this scripture. And this is surface. This is super, super, super surface. And I have a homework assignment for you guys. I would love for you to interact with me here on the social media. But listen, the question today is what's my ox? What tool that I need to now employ in order for me to reap abundant harvest in this particular category? So think about some areas that are empty. Just look at the scripture. Where there are no ox, the manger is empty. What's the manger that's empty? What's the area in your life that's empty right now? Put it in the comments. Share. Let's talk about it. This is how we study. This is how we study and we grow as a person. This is how we are spiritually getting fit. We're doing an exercise right now. Come on, Kendra. What's up, boo? How you doing? You gonna be a speaker, right? So listen. I'm sorry, y'all see me shaking the camera because I'm trying to read the comments. Me too, me too. Look at all the comments on YouTube. Y'all are so lit. Melanie, Kim, Kiara, Sarah, Nawazi. Come on now, Lakeisha. Jess says. So listen, look at the scripture and think. What is an area of my life that may feel a bit empty? Maybe it doesn't feel full. Maybe I feel like I reaped only half the harvest. What tool didn't I have? The ox represents, let me just read you guys some of this. I just started Googling how was an ox used. That's how you study. So I want to look at all the things that the ox did for the people. Okay? So it says, the ox was used to plow, turn mill, do the heavy work that had to be done. Come on, somebody. First of all, God does our heavy work. Cool. Somebody, right now, somebody want to argue with somebody. You want to send an angry text this morning. You want to go off this morning. But you got to remember who you can employ. You can put God in charge of that situation and you can choose to release it. So you ain't messing up your good energy, your good everything, because you're too busy going over here, right? That's an empty person trying to argue with you, right? Use God. God is the tool in this moment, right? But think about this. The ox was the most valuable possession to the man, next to his wife and his servant. Why? That ox could produce for him. That ox literally helped you produce and serve the community and serve your family. What tool do you now need to employ? Like seriously. So here's what's funny is that we want a big abundant harvest, but we don't want to use the tools in order to support where we desire to go. So then we feel empty. So a lot of times with love, we want love, but you're not willing to love your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, but you want someone to love you. Well, if that other part where you're not loving these people is in you, it's going to manifest destruction into what you're now desiring to reap. You want to harvest a love relationship, but you're having problems and complications in your relationship because over here is empty. Like you see what I'm saying? Like it works in every category. For example, the easy thing is money. You can talk about money. The manger is empty. If we woke up this morning and our bank account is empty, we ain't got the right tools, okay? The tool could be a book. The tool could be a coach. The tool could be you getting off your butt and working. You know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of different things. So the thing is, what is the tool that I now need? Because it says that without the tool is empty. So, but using the strength of the tool, I'll get an abundant harvest. Come on, somebody. So that's how we study. We break down the scripture and then we apply it to your life right now. Because it's one thing to hear a story about something, but how can I take what I'm learning from this story and apply it to my life right now so that I get changed, so that I get, and you should be convicted. Like every day I'm convicted. Conviction does not let you be normal. Conviction doesn't let you sit and just put up with stuff. Conviction, you be like, oh, I gotta change this. Oh, I gotta do something. And that's when transformation happens if you're convicted enough. Sometimes we can lay on a conviction and just, you so used to being in the struggle that it's just, I know I need to change and I'm big, like you get comfortable with it. But true conviction just, you can't sit silent. Martin Luther King was convicted. He was like, there is something in my soul that I must pursue. I must get this message out. I must share. Even me sharing this morning, I'm compelled to do this because I'm like, wow, this impacted me so much. I gotta tell more people. So guys, you gotta understand, that's how we study and that's how we grow. And we wanna know, how do we solve these issues in our life? It's right there. It's here. So if we just keep chewing on these words and breaking them down And I'm giving you guys a light breakdown because I study deeper than this. Like, I go in on where does the word come from, who made the word, how is it broken down, what are the synonyms, the antonyms, the definitions. Let's use it in the 25 other sentences. Let me find examples. Let me cross-reference in different books. Like, that's how you study. But I wanted to share that with you guys because in general, you don't want to be just only going to some other person for like your moment. Like, you need to be able to have this moment with yourself all the time. Every morning, every night, you need to be soaking into this stuff. Like, that's how you just really, you become an amazing human being on this planet as a result of reading that every single day, right? And you're gonna fall off some days. But if you decide, like, I'm just gonna be so studious and I'm just gonna dig into this one verse at a time, man, it's powerful. So check it out, Proverbs 14:4. Now, here's your homework. I want you to take what we talked about, okay? We've talked about a lot. I want you to read Proverbs 14:4. I want you to study. And I want you to meet me back here tomorrow. And make sure you turn on your notifications. Okay, I have to speak at 8:30, so I'm assuming at 10. Yeah, at 10. So make sure you turn on your notifications so you don't miss it. Okay? And even if you just want to read now and just send me a message on Facebook. But I want you to take this scripture and break it down and tell me what you got from it. Now, you got, again, we've already done some legwork. We looked up what an ox's role is, lightly, because you can even study that more. Go study that. Look up what oxes really meant to people back then, right? Go look up what the manger represents. Go look up the strength of an ox and what it really did for a family back then. Like, you just Google it. And you might be saying, how does that happen? I think YouTube is free. You might be saying, how, like, you just literally type the question in your head into Google and be willing to dig and dig and dig and read biblical articles so that you can understand it. Put in the scripture, Proverbs 14:4, and the word commentary, right? So I want you guys to study and then meet me back here tomorrow so that we can keep chewing. We're gonna keep chewing on this same scripture. And you're going to notice that the scripture hits you differently tomorrow than it did today because you just went deeper, all right? So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. It looks like this is frozen. Let me see if I'm frozen because that's annoying. Hold on. So, yep, I'm frozen. That sucks. Okay, now I'm back. I'm back. Okay, that sucks. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, y'all. It was freezing. I had to go check and see what was happening. So, make sure that you meet me back here tomorrow. I want you to read Proverbs 14:4, and I want you to do your own version of studying. Look up different types of scripture. Look at the different, so you have the NIV version, the New Testament. Like, you have all these different versions of the Bible. I'm getting them all wrong. Google it. Look up the NIV, look up the Amplified, look up the CEV, look up the King James, because a lot of times when you look at that one scripture in different formats and then start Googling the words and look up what an ox really represents, it's just gonna go so much deeper into your soul, and it's gonna just help you be wiser. And then when you get into everyday life, you're going to know how to combat all these situations that come to you. You're gonna just be wiser. And when you're wiser, you can't help but be successful because you're not doing stupid stuff. It's pretty simple. So, let's study. I'm excited to see what you guys come up with tomorrow. I'm excited to see how this scripture feels tomorrow as a result of you going deeper. I'm going to go deeper, and then we're going to present the same scripture on tomorrow, and it's going to be even better than it was today. I love you. I have people coming here today. We're going to be studying sales and marketing. Maybe I'll live stream some of it. It's going to be crazy fun, and it's boot camp style, so we're going to be practicing and just really interactive. I'm very excited. Good morning. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Read Proverbs 14 verses 4. I am Lakeisha Michelle. This is Good Tea for Life, and I'm honored that you chose to spend your 24 minutes and 35 seconds with me, and I'll see you guys on another video. Any questions, hit me up at LakeishaMichelle.com or meet me over on Facebook if you're on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, meet me on YouTube. Just be everywhere so we can keep getting this good stuff. I love y'all. Peace out.